Hey guys, it's been almost about a week since I've posted any videos of me. So I figured since I'm not going to be home for another 4 or 5 days, I'm going to Yerevan. I haven't been to Yerevan for quite some time. I'll be staying at a new Lebanese restaurant slash hotel owned by Lebanese Armenians. Pretty new place actually, less than a year or a year or so. It's been open. So, yeah, I got plans to do a few things over there. But, it's just, oh, one more thing. I just want to say thank you for subscribing to my channel because I've had an overwhelming amount of people subscribe. I think I'm almost at like 22 or 23K subscribers. So thank you to you for watching. Okay, so before I move forward, I would like to say a little bit of my past. So for most of you, you should be aware that by now, yes, I'm psychic. I'm very into the occult and metaphysics. It's basically saved my life because when you trust your intuition and you work for it as a living, and since you're little, because since I was a little girl, I used to tell people's premonitions, like I used to get premonitions and tell them what's going to happen to them in a very loving and poetic storytelling way. And then they would call my family up and say, geez, like your daughter is like a mature soul and always gives words of wisdom. It's like, where did this come from? Very understanding and so on. So I get paid to be a psychic, and I'm also a psychologist. Okay, so I have a degree in psychology. I'm also a Reiki master, and I'm not selling myself here, but I just want you to know a little bit more about me. I'm very independent, and I believe in self-expression, and I've also studied a lot of psycho-spiritual modalities, okay? Because growing up, my situation was so complex that I've been a trailblazer, a maverick, and a rebel growing up, where I never fit in any standard or any book in the psychology books, okay? Or anything in the definitions of psychology known in the early 2000s, late 1990s, okay? So I've been breaking stereotypes since 1987, my birth year. So with that being said, I just like to recall a few important... I'm also an ordained minister in metaphysics, so legally I can marry people. So as you all know, I'm very connected to the goddess Hecate, but I get called Kali a lot, and I have been called Kali since the last 15 years because of my appearance and my characteristic and my spiritual self. Just resonates so well as my destiny. Which, to make it short and simple, all these goddesses are all the same symbology, but just different areas of the world, okay? They all deliver the same message. So we are all aspects of some divine blueprint, okay? So going back to high school, when I was about 14 up into 17 years old, more so I'll say 14, 15. 14 was that particular year where all these psychologists, professional, high top quality psychologists from Toronto, they would regularly come visit me at my high school, and my name would be called at the PA every single day. Sometimes twice a day, sometimes 4 times a day. And, they would ask me questions. They'd take out their books. They'd take out their little journals and write things down. And then it would start to get heavier in a sense that it would start to become more and more. And different psychologists would come. And again, my name would be Talar Lori. My name was Talar Lori, okay? Because my first name is Talar. My middle name is Lori. And it was Talar Lori. Can you please come to the office? Everyone in the hallway in every grade from grade 9 to OAC, they would always be staring at me. Why are you always being called to the office? I had this black and orange parasuco jacket. It was a biker's jacket. So everyone just assumed I'm this rebel that never listens to anyone. I was always doing my own thing. I never really wanted to be in groups, So I remember recall asking one of them, actually a few of them, like, why do you guys keep calling me? Why are you so fascinated in talking to me? Why do you keep calling me? And I remember one of them just, a few of them symbolically, but there was one in particular where he took his pen and he put it on the table and he just let it go. And he pushed the table back and he goes, do you want the honest truth? He goes, we're here not to study you, but it's just that you are fascinating in a sense that you, Talar Lori, do not fit in any definition in the psychology book. He's like, we've studied years, 10, 15 years, depending on what school you've been to. Some 4, some 6, but these are, top high, psychologists spent thousands and thousands of dollars in school so that we can understand the different mindsets out there, so that we can understand one or two things about a person and then put you in this category so that we could label you as this particular thing in psychology. But he said to me, but that's it. You have a little bit of everything, but you're none of it. So he goes, to us, we keep calling you in because we're trying to understand your mind. And not only are you very fascinating, you're very intelligent because you're breaking everything we've possibly believed to be accurate. These theories are not 100% accurate. And since then, do you know that even psychologists and the studies in psychology have changed since the early 2000s. Now they're actually bringing in more energy modalities in a sense. Not so much in a spiritual way, but more energy. Do you know what I'm saying? Back in the late 1990s and early 2000s, psychology was very rigid. A lot of things were black and white. Not many things were understood. I also went to a Catholic school. I'm not even Catholic. We're Armenian Apostolic Orthodox Christians, but my family didn't want me to go to a public school, but after Armenian school, that was because based most of my childhood, I was in an Armenian private school where, in the early 90s, they would pay at that time $6,000, which was big at that time, okay, early 90s. Anyhow, so not to put myself above other people, but like they bumped me up. I ended up, finishing school when I was 16 years old. I was out of school. 15. I was out of high school. They gave me certification because I got an award. They used to say there's one thing that we're left fathomed and we don't have answers to, and that is every time we talk about your family and your upbringing, you don't want to go there. You change the subject, you go mute. And that is very right, because growing up, I was very quiet about my family. There was no way I would ever open up anything about my family. Oh, it was till death do us part, no matter how much pain or hurt or neglect or abandonment. And then they would start visiting my house, and a lot of the psychologists noticed that the family is an issue because the mindset of the family is Talat is not allowed to be intelligent. Talat is not allowed to have studied school. Talat is not allowed to be, meaning go to college or anything. She'll get married when she's 17 or 16, like very old school fashioned, and that's her life. She's going to go have kids and clean and cook, and that's it. She doesn't have to be intelligent. Intelligence is not needed for a girl, and especially in her family. So I was literally 15 years old. I was called to the Toronto District Catholic School Board, and I was basically there, and I saw the office, which they called me, and it's all the head principals, presidents, there's police, in case, I do something illegal, because what I was attaining is something illegal. You're not allowed to leave. By the law of Toronto and Ontario, a teenager is not allowed to leave high school, okay? So if they qualified me as like doing something illegal, I could have gotten arrested. So they're all watching. And there was about maybe 30 to 50 people sitting in a huge office. And I walked in, and they said, what you're attaining, not many people have succeeded. And we've received files about you, and we've received files about you in every school you've ever been to. And they keep saying you're a bad kid, you're a rebel because you don't want to do anything that you're told to be done and whatever. But we've realized it's because you have your own way of doing something. You have your own form of learning, and it goes against everything we are teaching. So obviously that causes problems in school systems. Again, this is the late 90s and early 2000s. Grade 7 and 8, I was also in a Catholic freaking school outside of Armenian school. So they always caused me problems because they would say I'm a rebel, I don't, and they're like, you're not a troublemaker, whatever, but what you're attaining, lots of people have tried and they've failed miserably and they've gotten arrested. What makes you think you're going to succeed? I remember I was super nervous, but I just revealed myself. I revealed myself in front of 30 to 50 people, if not 70, including the police. I told them all my dreams and wishes and my visions. I told them what I'm capable of doing, where I've been and where I want to go. I told them what I'm willing to do to get there. I can't remember anything else. Like, I can't remember in detail what I said, but all I remember is I was looking around and staring at everyone's face, and they all had a big smile on my face. And I see my mom, because they forced my parents to go, which they would never ever show up, but they forced them because they were threatened by the law that you have to show up, because if we arrest your daughter, this and this. And my mom started freaking out, and she said, oh my God, what are we gonna do? My dad's like, she's like, you're ruining our reputation. And my dad's like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And I never planned what I was gonna say, but I just said, let me be honest. So I was very honest, and they approved me. They all looked at each other and they said, everybody, whoever agrees to give her this legal certificate that Talar Lori is allowed to get out of school legally. Because in Toronto, if you walked around and you're a teenager during the day and you're not in school, you could get arrested. That's how illegal it is. And if they would say, if a cop or anyone stops you by, all you show is them your certificate, which wasn't even the case. No cop stopped me. But my mom took that certificate and she threw it in the garbage. She said, in this house, in my family, there are no intelligent people. You're not allowed. So everything I accomplished, that certificate allowed me to get my own house under my name by the government of Canada. I was allowed to work whatever I wanted, become a psychologist myself, do co-op, which I did after that. It was a process. 2 years later, I worked. For 2 years straight after that, I worked. I got my, co-oping. I had the hands-on experience and the studies of psychology and other things too, other kinds of work. And my family basically took it away from me. And I agreed to allow it to happen. And I was so broken for many years after. And then my family spent $30,000 at that time to get my sister to get married. And they thought I'd end up the same, but I never did. And because my true dreams and visions of what I told the office of the Catholic District School Board in Toronto never came to fruition because of the manipulation and the hatred and the not enough value in me from my family has affected me till this day. So I may not be a Catholic District School Board, but I'm here in Armenia and I'm doing pretty much the same thing to others as it's been done to me. Where I've, done a lot of psychology work here on people and the communities and so on. With the girls and the boys and just people in general and businesses and so on. And, it comes to a certain point where people want to have friendships and relationships with you here or in general. And it becomes very difficult for me because they don't understand. They all have family and friends that support them in their dreams since childhood till now. And some of these people are in their 40s and 50s. They're still with their parents and families, which is beautiful. But I don't have that. I never will have that. I never really forgave my family, but I choose to forgive myself. So my situation is very difficult. It's always been very difficult. And I'm expressing all this to all of you because you have to understand that whatever difficulties you're facing in life, if you have family and friends around you, you are by far one of the most luckiest, blessed people on the face of this earth. There are people who don't have that, and I am one of them. Okay? I'm not here to say my life is worse than yours or your life is better than another. It's just the fact that family support and love can heal the greatest wounds and trauma. And it's also a scientific fact that trauma it stays in this memory. It stays in the body. So it doesn't matter how much modalities and healing and things you can do. After 5 years, after 10 years, you're going to get triggered. That cellular memory is going to come back of the trauma again. I have done almost every kind of healing modality you could possibly think of. And they've worked, but only for a limited time. What's next? Do you get what I'm saying? What's next? Family can heal the greatest wounds, but not everybody has that, okay? If your friends are your family, that's also like family, but not everybody has that. So if I don't even have friends who understand me or who's giving back to me when I've always been the giver and the taker, to take care of people, it's one of the most painful things for a woman to ever experience. So I just want you to know to appreciate the life that you have. Sometimes trauma is reduced just by having family dinners, just by spending quality time with people, with friends who enjoy your own presence. You don't have to talk about the problems. You don't have to talk about your pains. Just sitting there in your presence and laughing and giggling with you and staring you in your eyes and holding your hand. That's enough to heal trauma. Okay? So I think I wanted to make this video so that I can give thanks to myself because I only have myself. Someone asked me the other day, they said, do you ever regret getting tattoos on your face? And I said no, because it's the only permanent thing in my life. Other than me, which is on me, no. So going back to the Catholic District School Board, guys, why they had police, because it's pretty much illegal to get to the position that I was in at that time, because you have to, in the legal system, you as a person, as a teenager, you have to finish high school, 18, 19 years old. Through the normal grade 9, grade 10, you have to pass all of it. At that time especially. I don't know how it is now. It should be the same. But because I had reached that certain level, because I was a rebel, and the psychologists couldn't figure me out, they threw me in this position where if I don't get approved by the presidents there, I'm going to prison. The cops were there ready for me. And I succeeded. I won. And they told me, what makes you think? Before I opened my mouth and I told them more about myself and why I'm here and what I plan to do, they told me, they said, so many people have tried to be here and receive a certificate to do what they want and have the government pay for it, and everyone has failed. He said to me, in the province of Ontario, only 2 people have succeeded. If you pass this, you're the 3rd person in history of Ontario. And I passed it. School paid for. University and college paid for. Housing paid for. This stuff doesn't get done. Not easily. Not by luck. Not by chance. But by hard work. By breaking a system. A legal system, which I did. And how did my family treat me? Most families, they would thrive for their kids to achieve such things. Not my family. Till this day, I am a nobody. I will always be a nobody. I am not smart to them. Smarts are not important. And a lot of people will choose not to see me as intelligent because they rather their own egos be flattered than see a woman who's beautiful, full of tattoos, be considered more different with her intelligence, breaking other systems and standards that they worked so freaking hard. There's people, they get so emotionally attached to their diplomas. Okay? So for me to show up and I'm breaking stereotypes, it breaks their hearts. It breaks their egos. Remember my words, my true words that my family and parents said, both parents, mother and father. Talad, you're not allowed to have intelligence. They took my certificate, they threw it out after a few weeks. You're not allowed to continue this. They're gonna feed you drugs. They just instilled shit in my head, you know, because I never was a drug type of girl. In high school, everybody was doing drugs. They were all having sex. I was never doing any of that. Never wanted to be around these people. Never, ever, ever did drugs. No. So, you're going to get married and that's it. And what happened? I didn't get married. How many times I got engaged? Yes, but no. Never got married. So, I want you to fulfill your dreams, guys. And if you have family who supports you, you're very lucky. Do you know what my mother put in my head at that time when I was little, when I was 15, 16, 17 years old? No one outside of our house is allowed to know that you received a certificate. No one is allowed to know that you legally outsmarted the school system. No one. Not your cousins, not friends, no one. And it stayed that way. It stayed that way until I started opening up to my YouTube channel. My family knows very well. But till this day, they want to associate me with someone that doesn't have intelligence, with someone that should be married, and that's the only intelligence I'll ever have. This was 21 years ago. 21 years ago. And it's hurting me till now that I didn't do what I wanted. Look, this is me at 6 years old. I don't look like a normal 6-year-old, do I? That does not look like a child. That looks like a very mature woman in a 6-year-old body. That's the name of the Armenian school I went to. Okay? So I was very intelligent since I was little. Very wise, very psychic. I can't take back the past and make it happen all over again, but I think I just want to give you some wisdom, which is, please don't do what I did. Be selfish. Forget family. Why I say a lot of people are lucky to have family is because most of your families support your dreams and visions and your wishes. Not all, but most of yours do. Okay? Especially the diasporans that come here to Armenia. They pay their kids $1,000, $2,000 a month. These things are unheard of in my family. When I was in elementary school, when I was in high school, my family wouldn't give me $1 to eat at the cafeteria. I didn't even have food prepped for me, even when I was in elementary school going to Armenian school. My lunchbox was empty. I didn't have a lunchbox. I had other kids give me their food because they'd feel sorry for me, why my family wouldn't pack me food. And this can go very in-depth, but I'm not going to get there because it's going to open more wounds. I just want to say again, if you have family that loves and supports you, great. So, many decades and years went by, and I started to go through sprouts of resentment because all I wanted was my family. And I was conditioned to believe soon after all that happened, when I was like 15 to 17, that we love you. My mom, my sister, my brother, we love you. Mind you, my brother used to beat me every day because my mom would tell him, since your sister's been raped, we don't want her to go the wrong way. We're Christian. She needs discipline, which is so wrong. They never allowed me to seek counseling for the rapes, okay? The being drugged into being raped, because I was, like I said, in high school, never really around people to do that stuff. I wasn't in that crowd, even though I was a rebel. And realistically, I was only considered a rebel because I just didn't fit in the norm of what society would put me into. Just like those psychologists that would come from Toronto to tell me our dilemma, our complexity, and why we keep coming to talk to you is because you are fascinating. You are intelligent, Talar. We cannot put you in a definition in psychology and say you are this or you are this, because you're none of them. And so we, as psychologists, we are questioning, is this accurate, what we learned, what we spent thousands of dollars, years studying, is it really accurate? And so all my life, even when I have friends, even when I'm in relationships, because my mind, the way I perceive things, the way I look at things is so different than most humans since I was a little girl, it causes problems with people because they all look at things very rigid and very black and white. And so, inzi bidi haskana. Ise, inzi bidi haskana. Who is going to understand me? If everybody thinks so black and white and rigid, it's like this or it's like this. You're like this or like this. They're not looking me and accepting me for who I really am and how I really am. Because they're seeing themselves through me. They're seeing their own egotistical view of what they've believed they've learned or who they are. Because they don't actually truly work on themselves. Their parents even condition them to be doctors or this and that, and they should be this way. And that's why there's so many people that have narcissistic personality disorder. And so I live my days being independent and alone because it's safe for me. But then when I relate with people, there's difficulties there. Summertime, a few times when I was younger, when I was a little girl, I'm talking about 5 years old, 6 years old, up until I was 9 years old, maybe on and off 11 years old, I used to sleep at my cousin's house. They had a pool and everything, just for the summer. And they would all say, like, Talat is so mature. I would never tell them I'm hungry, feed me. Gamashnaya, I was always embarrassed. I would never nag. I would never tell people things. I was always alone. But then they would question, like, shouldn't a little girl want to be doing this and this and this and this? They would buy each other presents, the families. They would never buy me anything. Why is Talar like this? When I was in elementary, why is Talar like this? Till now, why is Talar like this? But no one ever seeks to ask themselves, why are we like this? Why aren't we willing to maybe look at things in a different perspective, or maybe listen or look at things differently, and willing to maybe, remember, it's a black and white rigid mentality. It's very difficult for them to look at things different, right? But maybe even look within and seek to change something or evolve, so that maybe we can understand a little bit more of Talat Lori. That she grew up alone. Her family was never there. My dad was always sick. He would work when I was a little girl until 4 a.m. My mom was always working. No one was home. And so that trains a little girl to rely on herself. Hence why no one is ever around me. Do you understand? Can you understand just the slightest bit? Like, even my personality, I was taught to just shut up. You don't talk about things. You don't speak about things. You just shut up. And so I lost a lot of potentially good people in my life that did care about me, but because I wasn't telling them what I was going through, I didn't tell them how my family was treating me, and the neglect and everything, and how these opportunities I lost for the schools that I attained on my own. I didn't tell them. But yet I kept around the wrong people in my life because they only wanted me and would continue to keep coming to me because they had weak personalities. They were into addictions of sex, drugs, alcohol. And they had loving and supportive families, but they always saw me as a strong girl. Till this day, they say, you're the strongest person. Once in a while, they tune into me, okay? Sometimes they, here and there, they contact me. I don't really respond. But they say, you are by far the strongest person I've ever met. But where does strength take you when you're always by yourself? Where does strength, for how long? How long we're going to be strong? I've been strong since I was little. I'm 36 now. How long? And so there's people that, they wait to penetrate, to get in there when on my vulnerable times. They seek to understand my weaknesses so that they can, attack me emotionally, physically, spiritually, energetically. You're never going to win. Just because I open up to you like I'm opening up to my YouTube channel doesn't mean you're going to ever attain me. You'll never be able to penetrate my soul nor my heart. You can know all my weaknesses and vulnerabilities. That doesn't make you win me or have power over me. The fact that you seek to even understand or want to even understand what Talar Lori's weaknesses are, so that's when I can attack or get what I want or have power over her. That just means you're very weak. That you're looking for opportunities like that. And that's a good thing for me. And why is that a good thing? I think that's a good thing because it actually shows me that you need someone such as myself to feel better about yourself. Because my characteristic is everything you'll never be. So you look and you wait and you waste years of your life, months of your time, seeking to find out what Talar Lori's vulnerabilities and weaknesses are so that you could get what you want, power over her. Even if you do, what is it for? 2 seconds? 2 days until I strike at you again? There isn't one person I can ever remember that after didn't have to pay for something, whether it was me doing it deliberately to them after or someone else. You're not a powerful person if you don't know how to treat someone. A real powerful person knows how to talk to people and treat them. And so I recall my mom would keep feeding it in my head that if I was to ever tell people like what happened in regards to like my schooling situation and how I got out of it and how the schools, the Ontario district, Catholic school district was going to fund everything, she's like, I'll just tell people you're lying and that you're a crazy person. So that stuck with me for years until I decided, since I'm always alone, I'm going to talk to my YouTube channel. And if this resonates with people right in your heart, where it inspires you, it helps you, then I'm doing my job. Because reality is, the facts are the facts. I can't change the past, but I can take everything from my past, help others move forward with their life, and make the decisions for my everyday life moving forward. And that's it. It's not even only with the schooling thing that my mom has put that, like, conditioned that in my mind, that, oh, I'll just tell people you're crazy or you're lying. It's with everything and anything. About my past, my family, the way they are. No one's allowed to speak up. It's kind of like a cult system. It's kind of like major corporations. It's kind of like a religious doctrine that you're trying to leave. That you have no choice to kind of just sacrifice yourself and fit in just because the leader says this or that, So 36 years old. I'm still finding myself. I'm going to be finding myself until I'm the last days of my life, but I just can't be like most people who are parasites that live to just eat and to poop and to have sex. I could never be like that, ever.